morning, good people. It is Thursday, October the 14th, 2021. This is Wake Up with Ray G, presented by Bets TV. And we're in the building, baby. We're in the building. We got football today. I think we got college, NFL. Have a good NFL matchup tonight. I'm excited about this one tonight. What's going on, everybody tapping in, man? What's up to all the good people? Stone, Top Dog. I know my girl Cooter Doodle is going to tap in for a little bit. Cody Carpenter, I know he's going to jump in the building. But, Jay, how are you this morning, my friend?
I'm good, man. You know, we got football today, and we got baseball, Dodgers and Giants, Game 5. Super excited for that. That'll be a lot of fun. But, yeah, man, it's a good sports day. Yesterday was a little slow. Like, I'm not going to disrespect the hockey world. It was a big NHL kickoff. The local squad, the Toronto Maple Leafs, beat their rivals, the Canadiens, 2-1. It was a good time. But I'm more happy to be talking about football. I don't really want to talk about hockey. I don't watch it. I don't really like it. So happy football's back on today.
I was asking you before the show, so I got two questions for you. One, you already answered. I asked you, are you watching the Squid Games? Have you watched Squid Games on Netflix? And you said no.
Okay, but you just called it the Squid Games. Isn't it just called Squid Games? Like, aren't you kind of talking like you – like, I know you've watched it, but you're kind of talking like you haven't watched it. You know
but
when
people
call things, they add the, like, it's like – people call it Ohio State, but it's the Ohio State. Like, isn't it just Squid Games? Like, is it actually called the Squid Games?
Mm-hmm. Have you watched it, yes or no?
No, I haven't watched it. I didn't want to fall into the hysteria of Squid Games. I'm going to watch it on my own accord.
Oh, so you didn't. You're like Kyrie Irving. You didn't want to feel pressured into watching.
Wow, you're giving me
Games.
Kyrie Irving. No, I'm watching The Sopranos because I'm gonna watch the many Saints of Newark after I finish that. I'm slowly working through.
You've never seen The Sopranos either. This is your first pass through The Sopranos.
No, it's my third. I think it's third run through for me.
Stop! Don't lie.
I'm not lying.
Have you seen The Wire?
Lying.
Have you seen The Wire?
Yeah, I've seen The Wire like 10 times.
Yeah, I've gone through The Wire 3 times. Every time I skip season 2 though. I skip season 2.
Really? It's funny you say that.
I'm not a big fan of the Greek because all they're doing the entire time is just trying to find out who the Connect is. Like, I can skip that. It just was kind of slow for me. I skipped season 2.
It's funny you say that because that's what my best friend watched The Wire. I was like, you have to watch it. It's slow, so you got to, like, prepare yourself. But, yeah, season 2 is definitely the one that really drags on for a while.
That's the one that drags.
But the one scene with McNulty in the whorehouse is probably the funniest scene, like the whole series. You know, when he's just in there and then he gets to write up the report after. Probably the best scene in the whole show.
It's a great, man. There's just The Sopranos. I have not seen The Sopranos all the way through. Like, I'll get through, and it's not that I don't I love it. I just get through it, and then life happens. So I do want to go back and pick up The Sopranos because that's a really, really good show. Which one do you think is better since you've seen both, Sopranos or The Wire?
Oh, for me, it's The Wire by a lot. And while The Wire is a little bit shorter, and I do like that. I like the characters in The Wire better. And in my opinion, to your point, The Sopranos does kind of drag towards the end. It's still a good show, and I like to watch it. That's what I've heard. But in my opinion, it kind of drags towards the end, where The Wire season 5 is probably my favorite. Season 1 is probably my second favorite, and then season 4 is just sad, but it's really good.
Yeah, I think all the seasons were good. The character development in The Wire is so good. Like McNulty's kind of transformation. Yeah, when he was doing the whole red ribbon, there's a lot there. Then you got the Barksdale crew, you've got Marlo Stanfield, you've got Omar. Yeah. Like, it was just good, man. It's so good.
Now, if I could tell you one story that's really funny for people who I watched The Wire probably like over 10 years ago, and so this is like a really, really long time ago. So the funny thing about first time I ever watched The Wire, I did not know that Idris Elba was British. Like, I legitimately thought he was just an American actor. Right. Like, I had no idea because that was the first time I ever really saw him in anything. And then I found out he was British. I was like, what? Blew my mind.
Well, there's this show on FX called Snowfall that is just, I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best shows on TV. It's real. Like, it's like The Wire, but The Wire was it was shown on HBO, so they could do kind of anything, right? Like, there was no restrictions. The fact that FX can get away with some of the stuff that they show and say on Snowfall on cable television is surprising. But if you have not watched Snowfall, but the main actor in Snowfall, black guy, sounds like he's straight from California, straight from LA. but he's British as well. Like, I was just like, when I heard him speak, I was like, what the fuck, man? It like blew my mind. Me and my wife were
Yeah.
like, what? Did you know? But yeah, I just finished Squid Games. I thought it was an interesting show, man. It was an interesting show. And then apparently there's another one, a Japanese film called Alice in Borderland that's supposed to be Squid Games on crack. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. And I got through like half of one episode last night. You gotta give shows a couple of episodes to really get a feel for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. I finished it last night, so I had to ask you this morning if you had watched it, and you said no. But anyways, speaking of what are we even here for? Sports, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think is that
Something
what we
like
do?
that.
Sports betting, I think.
Dude, another day, more Kyrie Irving drama saga. Kyrie went on IG Live yesterday to speak his truth about everything that's going on. And, he says, Kyrie's like, everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. Those of y'all who don't know, Kyrie Irving refuses to get vaccinated, and therefore he will not play in the NBA this season, or at least for the Brooklyn Nets. He said it's not about money. Everyone has a choice. So he talks about wanting to inspire others and be a voice for the voiceless while being a one percenter. So he does not plan on retiring. He wants to play basketball, but is unable to because of his choice to not receive the COVID vaccine. It's crazy because at first Kyrie was just like, no, I'm not doing it. My body, my choice, which he's absolutely right. Now, what I heard is he's not anti-vaccine. He just doesn't want to be forced into making this decision. He doesn't like the fact that people are losing their jobs because of their choice to either be vaccinated or unvaccinated. Listen, the Brooklyn Nets are one of the NBA's best teams, right? They're the front runner to win the NBA title. I don't know how this situation is going to play out. It seems like Kevin Durant and James Harden probably signed off on this. I know KD and Kyrie are real tight. They're close. I mean, how do you think the situation is going to play out for Brooklyn, Jay? Because what we talked about is I can't see Kyrie coming in playing, 2 games here and then he's off for 4 games. A game here, then he's off for 2. 3 games, then he's out for 7. Like, how are they going to overcome this? And I know a lot of people are talking about Ben Simmons and Philadelphia. Philadelphia came out yesterday and said they have no interest in trading for Kyrie. Whether that's true or false, we don't know, but that's just what they said. How do you think the situation is going to play out, man?
I think Kyrie's honestly kind of screwed. I don't really view him as a potential trade candidate, but to your point, you never know who may be willing to take a risk on him. I just think that, like, even if everything he said on IG for 20 minutes yesterday, and he didn't really say anything of consequence, like, he's not. The thing for me with Kyrie is that he is talking about how people are saying things about him and people are character assassinating him. And that is true to some degree, but it is still self-inflicted. And he's not really acknowledging that. Like, this is a choice and I have to live with the consequences and criticisms that come my way. He's saying, well, people are losing their jobs and I want to be the face of that, but I don't want to take the brunt of the criticism, So it's like, how can both be true? You want to be a voice for the voiceless, but don't want to receive the criticism of being that face, right? So it's just really odd. And so that for that reason, man, I just don't think there's enough accountability on Kyrie's end for him to be traded. Like, he could go to Texas where they literally put in a law saying there is no laws for vaccines. And while, I don't agree with everything Texas does, but some things they do get right. Some things they cross the line a little bit. But they're entitled to do what they want based on their legislation and their government. And they said no masks, band-aids. You can do whatever you want. Mask, no mask. It's your choice. Okay, whatever. And they have the right to do that. So he could go play in Texas for most of the year. No masks, no vaccines. He can probably do whatever he wants.
I can go in my closet right now, pull out an AR-15, strap it to my back, and go have a shopping spree at Walmart. Like, that's Texas, baby. Like, we could do whatever. It's just the wild, wild fucking West down here.
So that, to me, is probably the craziest part, is like, he's not playing in New York unless the laws change. And because of the amount of people, the population density in New York, I don't really know what they're going to do. So I think he's kind of in limbo right now. But, one of the funniest things I was laughing backstage as you were talking because Jesus Nice, everyone knows Jesus and Mero. He tweeted out the video of Kyrie. He's spitting that lorem ipsum. And so people who don't know what lorem ipsum is, it's the default text that you get when you put in a text box. I was dying. I'm like, yo, he's literally just spitting like default information. That's the
Dude,
problem with Kyrie is like he's making things worse for himself by coming out and not actually saying anything. Like he was on IG for 20 minutes. I watched the whole thing this morning. I have zero takeaways. He's like, I want to play for my team. I ride with my boys. Like, I don't want to be in this position. But like you put yourself there. You are the one that wanted to not get the vaccine. You have to live with the consequences. You can't now say that you want to play with your team, you want to do this, you want to do that. You made this choice and no one is forcing you not to get the vaccine. That's your choice.
Speaking of people making choices, man, I have to commend. I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who are getting like crushed via the media, social media, sports media, news media, and they just tweet and continue to carry on their lives through the drama. Like, I'm looking at Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter is the next person getting shrapnelled from the email gate, yeah. Right? And he's just tweeting through it like, people are commenting. He's just, Christian McCaffrey's 50-50. I have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody who could be facing so much backlash and they just tweet through the pain. I mean, I was impressed. He finally made a statement. Listen, I still don't really understand. Maybe I just don't know the journalism world. But what did Schefter do that was so wrong that got him put into Emailgate? Like, I saw he had asked Bruce Allen to, like, is there anything you want to change, edit, add? Like, what? I don't know. I saw too, I don't know why that's I don't know why that's a big deal or not. I don't know.
Well, because part of it is like the bias aspect of it, right? It's not unbiased writing. When you ask, you're assuming it's a story, and I think this was actually when he was working for either the football team or for the Post. So you look at it from that perspective. You can't be like, if I'm doing a profile on you, you may have the right to refuse, or change anything in an article based off of a contract, something like that. But if we're just like, if I request an interview for you and I write some things in there that you don't like, that's okay. Like, that's being an unbiased journalist. If you say, oh, I want this changed, that changed, it's tainted, right? Because we don't know what was omitted from the article. We don't know what things that Bruce Allen took out of that article from Schefter. And we don't know, on top of this, how many times he did this. So it's like, okay, Schefter, you're going to take this out. You're not going to report this for me. Maybe I'll do a favor for you. And you look at the position he's in now. How many times did he do that? Get those kind of handshake agreements, slowly work up the ladder, maybe not doing things in the most journalistic, integral way, right? And that's, I think, part of the issue for him. But again, it's kind of like it's just an integrity thing, is that you can't be asking your direct source who you're reporting on what is okay and what isn't okay, because that just kind of ruins your own personal integrity.
I mean, shit, tell me how to do that, and I'll do it right here on the show every day if it's going to get me to Adam Schefter levels. So basically what he did was not illegal or wrong. It was just kind of frowned upon. It's just,
yeah, he's not being impartial, like Bruning said right here, right? He's not being impartial to the story.
Technically supposed to do.
It's an integrity issue, right? That's the problem, is that he's not.
Sign me up. So whatever Schefter did, give me the blueprint, and I will follow suit. Whatever. Listen, I tweeted out yesterday, the NFL, like, unless they want half of the coaches gone, half of the owners under scrutiny, dude, do you know how many emails 650,000 are? Like, that is
a lot.
That's a lot of emails.
Well, you saw DeMaurice Smith was talking about how one of the reasons why he doesn't necessarily want, or maybe does want, the emails.
None of them want it.
About the hiring. He's talking about the hiring process being so biased, right? And another reason why they don't want it to come out. That I think was the statement that he said.
Listen, bro.
Talking more about the hiring process. And
I don't care. Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, Native. None of them want all those emails to come out. I saw somebody say the only person that might be safe is Mike Tomlin. And I said, I put nothing past nobody. I don't think any of them, because it's not just racial stuff that's going on. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff, man. I don't think any of the coaches, not one owner, not one coach, not one trainer, none of them. Like, Like, let's be real. I am a man that is fair. I try to keep stuff real on both sides, right? Like, yes, what John Gruden did is indefensible, disgusting. He got his punishment, and I'm sure there'll be more fallout to come. There is a network inside the network of an old white establishment, right? And a culture that is not now, that's changing to something that the NFL really wasn't founded on, right? But also, the fraternity of NFL coaches is still a club, regardless of what color you are, right? So if you are a minority coach, that does not absolve you from wrongdoing as well, because some of the things that were found in that email were above and beyond racial allegations, racial terms. There's misogynistic, homophobic. There's a lot of stuff in there. And it is not that the line does not just stop with black, white, and other. It goes deeper. So I truly think none of them, no coach, I don't care what shade or hue you are, I don't think any of them want that stuff to come out, man. And I'm being real. That's Tomlin. That's Leslie Frazier. That's, any other, I don't think any of them want that stuff to come out, man. Not just white coaches, not just white on. Like, I don't think any of them want that stuff to come out. It's going to be all I can see, man. When you're watching like crime shows, and like they get like one of the guys in the room and they give him some McDonald's, and then he ends up snitching on everybody. The meme where the guy's in the courtroom pointing like he did it. All it's going to take is one cat to come out and be like, I'm finna tell all, or I'm about to leak it. And I think at this point, I'm getting my resume ready because I may have a shot to coach. There may be enough open slots in the NFL if 650,000 emails get released that we have a good shot to at least get an internship with a franchise. I'm ready. I'm staying ready, bro, because this is a story of the ages if this stuff can come out, man. I'm telling you.
Nah, you nailed it. But it's funny, you compared it to an interrogation at McDonald's. Another great scene from season 5, episode 1 of The Wire, with Bunk and the interrogation. But for me, it's more of like a car crash. When you see a car crash, you just can't look away.
Can't look away.
You just can't look away. You can't look away. You can't help yourself. You just keep wanting to look at it, see what's going on.
All right, so we've got all right, so look, we got to get to these games, but I just want to have a little 2022 fun because we're talking sports. We're a little over a quarter way through the season, and right now we're doing a rookie mock draft. So let's give our fantasy football players out there a look at the first round. We've almost gone through two. Actually, we've gone through 2 rounds. Did you just make a pick?
Yeah, I took Spencer Rattler.
You took Spencer Rattler. Where did you draft Spencer Rattler at in our rookie mock draft? Superflex rookie mock draft.
211.
211. Don't talk about anybody else. Spencer Rattler went 211. Let's just give a taste of you want to go top 10 or top 12?
Read the top 12, but I don't have it open, so just read
it. Okay, I got it. All right, top 12, Superflex 2022 rookie mock draft that we're doing now. We're going to do one of these every single week. Or, it's a slow draft, so it may take like a couple of days for it to finish. But we're going to be doing these all throughout the season. So here's your first round right now with people who actually tap in, pay attention. 101, Matt Corral. 102, Sam Howell, quarterback, North Carolina. 103, Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty. At the 104 spot, we get our first non-quarterback off the board, Isaiah Spiller. And he's RB1. Wide receiver 1, we got Treylon Burks at 105. Kenneth Walker at 106. That was my selection. 107, Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State. 108, Drizzy Drake. That's my dog. Drizzy Drake, tier 1 wide receiver. I think he's got a shot to be wide receiver 1 in the class. 109, we've got Garrett Wilson. 110, George Pickens. 111, Desmond Ridder. And 112, Kyron Williams. How do you feel about this 2022 class of rookies?
Well, I didn't mind that first round. To clear the air for everyone, I took Sam Howell 2nd overall. Main reason why is I think he's an NFL-ready player. While he hasn't played that well in college, I think the NFL is going to look at him and see all of his intangibles, things he can do. That's why I think he's going to be drafted high, why I took him 102. But the guy that's most disrespected by far in this draft is Chris Olave. I'm not the biggest Chris Olave fan, but it's very difficult to argue what he's done on the field. And as much as I like Kyron Williams, I think that Chris Olave, again, I talked about this with you a lot, is the safest wide receiver in the 2020 NFL draft class was Justin Jefferson. And I am extremely confident in saying the safest wide receiver in the 2022 NFL draft class is Chris Olave. Ahead of Garrett Wilson, ahead of Treylon Burks. I just think that there's a lot of things Chris Olave does that will translate to the NFL. And I think he's the safest wide receiver. What are you doing?
Oh, shit. Dude, that's probably the worst thing you've ever said in the history of your life.
You don't think he's a safe wide receiver talent in the NFL? You don't even think he's safe?
No.
Why not?
I don't think he's all that.
Why not?
I think he's okay.
Okay, so you don't think he's all that, but you don't think he can run good routes, you don't think he can get open, you don't think he's gonna do well at the NFL level.
I think he's gonna be okay. There's no way on God's green earth I would take Chris Olave over Garrett Wilson, Drake London, or Treylon Burks. No way.
I never said I'd take them over them. I said I think he is the safest prospect in the draft class from a talent perspective.
Well, then he's not disrespected, and he shouldn't have been in the first round then. It's the worst thing you've ever said.
How? Justin Jefferson was the 111 in his draft class, and he was the safest wide receiver in that draft class by far.
I think there's some hindsight bias here, but putting Chris Olave and Justin Jefferson in the same sentence is asinine.
I'm using the comparison of where they are.
Terrible comparison. It's a terrible comparison. I don't think. Why is he so safe? Why?
Because
he's not even the best receiver on Ohio State. Garrett Wilson's a better receiver than him.
Okay. Does that mean Garrett Wilson is a locked and loaded stud prospect? No, people think he is, but Chris Olave I think is better at getting open than Garrett Wilson.
What? What?
Yeah.
What are you watching? What are you watching?
You don't think so? You think that Garrett Wilson runs better routes than Chris Olave?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I think he's got better hands, better ball skills. He gets open easier. He's a better wide receiver than Chris Olave.
Okay.
You and Bruning can go have a love affair.
Bruning knows. Bruning watches every game.
Listen,
he knows.
I love Bruning. When it comes to Ohio State, the Cleveland Browns, I take Bruning with a grain of salt. That bias is sprinkled. I love Bruning.
He can't be biased against his own players, though. They're both on his team. He's equally biased.
Y'all can have it. I'm with JB. It's the worst thing you've ever said. It's 100%.
No, that was a quote. He's not with you. JB rocks with me a little bit. All right.
Let's
he feels me.
We do not have enough time in the day to get into this. We will make a small wager. I coming up to the draft season, I promise you, Chris Olave will never finish as a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy football. Ever. Not one time.
That's
not
pretty
one
high.
Time. That's not very
high, though.
Not really.
Top 20 wide receiver is pretty high.
It's not that high. He will never finish as a top 20 wide receiver. Nah.
Okay. In his whole career? Sure.
Never.
Wake up! This is the Morning Run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, after that argument about Chris Olave, you got my blood boiling. Let's get into the NFL Week 6 outlook. Jay, we got Miami, Jacksonville. Will the Urban Meyer-led Jaguars pick up their first victory in London this weekend? They are not favored. They're not favored. Miami, 3.5, over under 47. Both of these teams are allowing over 30 points per game. The Dolphins gave up 420. The Dolphins allow 422 yards per game, which is third worst in the NFL. And the Jaguars are not far behind. They're giving up 408 yards per game, which is fifth worst in the NFL. Do you have any interest taking the over, the under, the money line, teasing this game? I honestly think Jacksonville can pick up their first victory this weekend.
Hell yeah, they can.
I think they can pick up their first win of the season versus these Dolphins. Tua reportedly is, I don't know if he's going to play or not. I know he's practicing. I don't know anybody that's had rib injuries. It may feel good in practice, but once you get hit down there, it's a whole nother story. And they're not hitting the quarterbacks in practice. The Miami offensive line is still not good. Where are you at with this one, man? Where are you at with just the game and then some of the games inside the games with the player props?
I'm all in on the Jags. I'd be taking the money line. I would take them to cover. If you want to tease them, whatever you got to do. But Again, this game is in London because you didn't say that. It is in London. We forgot to talk about
No,
how the
actually,
Falcons
I
are
did.
separated.
Actually, I did say it at
Oh,
the
did you say
very
that?
beginning. I sure did.
Okay.
You weren't listening. I saw your head down. You weren't paying attention. I said it was in London.
We are in London, and I honestly think that Trevor Lawrence is going to play really well in this game. I think he's going to take it over. I think J-Rob's going to smash the Dolphins. Man, what is the best way to beat this defense? Pick anyway. Doesn't matter. Special teams.
Doesn't matter.
Running the ball, passing
Run
the
the
ball.
ball. Yeah.
Tom Brady, 400 yards last week.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, over 130 yards 2 weeks ago. It doesn't matter. Leonard Fournette had over 90 yards this game. It really doesn't matter. And I think that the Jags will be able to move the ball. They're going to score points, and they have a very good shot of winning this game, especially at plus 161. Great odds for the Jags. My favorite prop, and I gave you the graphic for it already, is James Robinson over 73.5 rushing yards. James Robinson has been destroying teams this season. Like, he's been playing so well. He got off to a slow start. You know, there's that 1 week I doubted them on Thursday Night Football against the Bengals. He destroyed over 100 yards, had 100 yards last week. He's probably going to do it again this week. The Dolphins allowed 2.73 yards after contact per attempt, which is sixth worst in football. And Robinson is averaging 5.78 yards per carry, which is third among running backs. This dude is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars are going to rely on him. They're going to run more read option with Trevor Lawrence. I hope Trevor Lawrence doesn't pull it every time. It's a critical situation because it's becoming too predictable. But Marvin Jones, again, another great option in this game. I just don't know who he's going to throw the ball to, but I know Trevor Lawrence is going to have a great game. His over-under is 235 passing yards. I like that number. I'd probably take his rushing prop. I didn't look it up.
I don't like
would
it, man.
consider it.
I don't like it this week.
What's
On Prize Picks, it's 27.5. I just don't like it this week. Can he hit
yeah,
it?
that's a little high.
Can he hit it? But that's a little high, and he has not hit that number. He hit that number twice. He hit it last week. He had 28. The week before, he had 36, and then it's been 27, 21, -2. I don't know. My thing is, I don't know if they'll need him to do that. I think J-Rob is going to be so dominant on the ground. I do expect Lawrence to really get it cooking with his arm. For me, I'm not going to touch the Lawrence rushing prop this week. It's a little high.
Yeah.
A little high.
And so I think the next question is, how do you feel about Myles Gaskin this week? Because one of the problems is there's no props. We know that, again, we talked about it yesterday. You can stretch Tampa Bay laterally through the running game. And so that's what they did in Miami, and it worked out. Myles Gaskin had 10 receptions, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But this week, you're playing against the Jags, not as good. Is Waddle going to get involved? Is Devontae Parker going to get involved? I believe Will Fuller's still on IR, so he's not going to be playing. Preston Williams is getting a little bit of run. I think they're going to pass the ball a lot. And I'm not sure how to feel about Myles Gaskin because the Jags have a decent run defense. They're not that great, but they're better than the Dolphins are, that's for sure. And so is Myles Gaskin going to get opportunities?
Yeah.
I don't really think he will. I think it's going to be more of I think it's going to be a lot of passing in this game. And I think if Tua is playing, they're going to pass the ball a lot. I just think that, especially with Tua coming off injury, if you're the Jaguars, sell out for the run and force Tua to make plays in the passing game. Because if you, like you mentioned, if you get one hit on him, he could completely crumble and just be hurt. And then you got to bring in Jacoby. And it's just this whole thing that you just don't want to deal with if you're Miami.
Yeah, I was looking even on Prize Picks to see if there was something for Gaskin. There's nothing there. I do see Laviska Shenault at 52.5, Jalen Waddle at 57.5. I'm not touching either of them. I'd have more confidence in Laviska Shenault. I'm not touching Jalen Waddle. I don't know what Jalen Waddle. That pick is looking worse and worse by the week. And I'm a Jalen Waddle fan, but to take a wide receiver number 6 overall and not really I don't know. It looks bad, man. And they gave up a first rounder, I believe, to move up. And that first rounder that they gave up, if the season were to end today, I think it's number 3 overall. Like, it doesn't look good. But like you said, there's nothing out for the Dolphins right now because we don't know who's starting. We don't know if it's Brissett. We don't know if it's Tua. We don't really know what's going on. But I'm telling you right now, I'm just looking at the receiving yards. I'm not touching Jalen Waddle. Can he hit it? Absolutely. Jalen Waddle can do that on one reception. But over the past couple of weeks, he just has not delivered in his prop totals. He has not hit. So I think I'm going to stay away from it, man. I like James Robinson. I love J-Rob, and I really do like T-Law. I like the over 1.5 touchdowns as well for Trevor Lawrence. I really think this is one where he can get it cooking in London. I like Jacksonville for the upset to pick up a victory in this one, man. If I were going to do anything, I would tease it. I'd give Jacksonville 10.5. Well, if I do it 7.5 point teaser, I'm giving them 11 points, man. I don't think they're losing by 11 in this matchup. So I think Jacksonville picks up their first win in London, man.
Yeah, and the other 1 point is the over-under is only 47, and like you mentioned to start this off, 30 points a game apiece for each team. So I could easily imagine a situation where this game goes over with both of them allowing over 30 points a game.
Yeah.
The over probably should be in at least the 50s, maybe even 52. Again, it's two decent offenses playing two bad or two decent offenses playing two bad defenses. And it's kind of a situation like the Saints and Washington football team last week. And I believe that score was 33-29. Mediocre offenses, bad defenses, and you look what happens. And it was just a massive total. But we can move forward if you want to the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The Packers are favored by 4.5. Money line is -202. Chicago +175 with an over-under of 45. Green Bay again favored by 4.5. I don't mind that number. I like these 4.5 numbers. I just kind of treat them like they're 6.5. And so I'm kind of tempted to take Green Bay here. But the problem is that Rodgers, Adams, Jones, like none of them play very well against Chicago. It's the familiarity. They're playing in Soldier Field. I just don't love it. I think they can win by 4.5. They're on the road. Justin Fields is playing quarterback. He's playing okay.
Yeah. Let's show that. Let's incite violence. Just in ain't it. Whoa, Jay. You are trying to get the people mad here with this graphic, man. Justin ain't it. Is this how you really feel, or was this you just had to do it for the graphic?
You know me. I like to poke the bear a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You like that? I like to poke the bear. Like to poke the bear.
Look at
Bears fan?
you are on it, baby. I love it.
On fire today. But yeah,
are.
so this has nothing to do with Justin Fields, the talent. We talked about him. QB2 coming in. I'm staying with that. I still like him a lot. But when I saw this number, I was like, are you kidding me? 30.5 for a guy who's never thrown the ball more than 20 times in a game before? Come on, bro. Like, he could hit it. There's always a situation where for some reason, maybe he just airs it out. But if you're just talking straight statistics, he has never thrown the ball more than 20 times in a game in the NFL, ever. And for some reason, he's listed at 30.5? Are you kidding me? There's no way. And then his over-under for yards is 200.5. He's only hit that once, and it was against the Detroit Lions that are terrible. 125 of those yards came from Darnell Mooney himself. Like, how is this going to happen? No Jair Alexander. I don't even care. Like, it doesn't even matter to me. How the hell is Justin Fields going to hit 30 pass attempts in this game? Because they're going to run the ball with Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert. I believe they ran the ball 35 times combined last week. And then Justin Fields had 4 carries of his own. And on top of this, he's banged up right now. So you're telling me this quarterback who's never thrown the ball 20 times, more than 20 times, you have the over-under set at 30.5. I don't get it, man. And if for some reason he gets hurt, you're still gonna win this bet. Like,
you do not like Justin Fields, man.
Do you want to hear another crazy stat? I gotta give my boy Jordan Vanek some credit here. The highest no quarterback on the Chicago Bears this season has scored more than 10 fantasy points. Take that in. No quarterback on the Chicago Bears has scored more than 10 fantasy points in a game all season.
Damn.
That's not a hot take. That is consistent, terrible quarterback play. And it's not to say that I don't like Justin Fields.
He said consistent, terrible quarterback play. Man. Justin.
It's not that I don't like him.
It
ain't happening this week. It just ain't happening.
So Prize Picks has his passing yard line set at 197.5. So even lower, even a little more bearish. Bearish, you get it? What I'm doing?
There you go. I like it.
Even more bearish than the books, man. I don't know. Green Bay, they're still down Jair Alexander. Their defense just got shredded by Cincinnati. I did see what did I see yesterday? I saw something yesterday. Mooney and A-Rob, they're a little banged up, and I think Mooney is a little more questionable than Allen Robinson right now. But I'm with you. Khalil Herbert looked good. Shout out to Matt Bruning, who's been all over Khalil Herbert. I was not a fan. But, I think he had, 16, 18 carries? Last game,
yeah, I believe he had 18, and Damian Williams had 16 or 17.
16? They're about to run the ball. I think they're about to run the shit out of the ball. It's just 197 yards, 200 passing yards is so little. Like, that's so few. And with Devontae Adams, with Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay probably is going to put up points, man. These games are always good games between the two division foes. Again, Elliot Chris said just know when not to bet anything. I don't think I'm going to – I would take the under on Justin Fields' pass attempts for sure. But I don't – I'm taking Green Bay to win this matchup. I'm going to tease it 7.5. So Green Bay, just get it done by 3. Just get it done by 3, and I think we'll be all right. Aaron Rodgers, over under 258 passing yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns. I would take the over on his passing touchdowns. In the last 4 games against the Bears, Rodgers is only thrown for an average of 214, but 2.5 touchdowns per game. And without even reading that, I was like, I'm taking the over in the passing touchdowns. And he gets some cheap ones too. If they get towards the goal line and don't want to run it in, they can do that. Send Aaron Jones in jet motion, tap it forward. That counts as a reception. So Devontae Adams, over under 95.5 and over under 7.5 receptions. At this point, how could you even take the under on? Like, he's getting the ball thrown to him 15 damn times a game. Like, it's insane usage for Devontae Adams. Insane.
I know, but that's where it's like, do I want to lean on recency or do I want to lean on history? Because while I don't have a whole lot of context here.
Yeah.
He has not played well against the Bears, whether it's scheme, whether it's familiarity. He does not play well against the Bears. He's averaging only 61.5 yards per game in his last 4 games over 2019 and 2020 against the Bears. So it's like, on top of it being an extremely high number, 95.5, I think is the highest over-under I've seen for receiving yards this season.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I think he can get 100? Absolutely. He's Devontae Adams, but I'm like, okay, he's only averaging 60 against this team, which, it happens. Maybe it's injury. Could be lots of reasons why it's low, but Rodgers only 215 a game. Aaron Jones only 55 yards a game. His over-under is 53, so he can maybe hit that. But then you have Devontae Adams, 95 yards, and he's averaging 61 over his last 4 games against the Bears. I just can't take the over. Like, to your point, I probably wouldn't take the under because he can always smash. But
so you just wouldn't touch it.
So
then you just wouldn't touch it. You just wouldn't touch it.
History is telling me to stay away from this game, right? And I think that's more important for me. Like, I'm more analytically driven with my analysis. So if data tells me to maybe stay away from it, I'll stay away from it. While my heart says, of course, he can go over. He's Devontae Adams. I'm like, you know what? History tells me maybe I should stay away.
Let's just mark this one down because dude, he's playing insane, man. He's getting, every time Aaron Rodgers throws the ball, it's to Devontae Adams every single time. And if you're telling me he's going to get, his target volume over the past 4 weeks, like, if he's going to get 12, 13, 14 targets, I think, and the thing with Devontae Adams is he's running deep routes. Like, he's not just running slants. He's not just running 10-yard outs. Like, he's going down the field. I'm inclined to take the over. Maybe it's one that you don't have to touch. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you can find some better props out there. Let me see what PrizePicks has them at, because I'm very much inclined to take the over and not even bat an eye. They've got, they have him at 99.5 on PrizePicks. So he's got to hit 100.
He's at 18, 11, and 16 targets the past 3 weeks. So the one bad game, or kind of bad game, was the game against Pittsburgh. 11 targets, 6 receptions, 64 yards.
Yeah.
But last week, 16 targets, 11 receptions, 206. Week before that in San Francisco, 18 targets, 12 receptions, 132 yards, and scored in both those games. So if you think he's going to go over 100, you probably bet him to score a touchdown too, because that's just kind of how his game is molded. When he's getting a lot of yards, he usually scores. But, again, it's history is telling me maybe just stay away. He's about 9 targets a game, 6 receptions, and only 61 yards in his last 4 games against the Bears. Personnel changes, but that defense has been pretty good this year, and so that's just one of the reasons why I'm kind of trying to stay away from it. We will mark it down, and we'll see.
Do you want any Aaron Jones? He's been kind of been a disappointment this season, man. And it's only set at 53.5.
Yeah, so history says it's close, right? So you're talking about history of Adams, history of Rodgers. It's very, very close. And so that's where I'm okay with Aaron Jones if you like that. And the reason why I'll kind of tell this to you is you have Khalil Herbert, we have Damian Williams. We know they're going to run the ball. Do I think the Packers are going to force the issue? And I don't so much. I think I could see a situation where we see a lot of A.J. Dillon, we see a lot of Aaron Jones, and they just continue to smash into each other on both sides, like lean on each other's defenses, not try and do too much because the Bears defense is good. They're familiar with them. And like I mentioned, Rodgers isn't really throwing that many passes against them anyways. I could see Green Bay just kind of fighting off the Bears and trying to beat them physically rather than trying to air it out and throw it every game because they know they don't have to do that. They know Justin Fields isn't going to put up more likely than not more than 20 points. So I think from that perspective is a reason why I'm kind of inclined to just say, you know what, let's just roll with the under, see what happens. Maybe the game is 21-17 in the end. It'll be close, but we know that Rodgers will probably pull it out and he'll only pass really if he has to. So that's kind of where I'm at with this game. But Cincinnati, Detroit, man, I don't know I know you don't bet spreads, but how is Cincinnati only favored by 3.5?
I don't know, man. I have no clue because
that to me is egregious.
And if I tease at 7.5, I get plus odds on Cincinnati just not to lose by more than 3 to Detroit, which I don't think is going to happen, man. I think they're going to smash Detroit, to be honest with you. I think this could get ugly. I think Joe Burrow is going to have a big game. Of course, Jamar Chase is going to have a big game. Do we see Joe Mixon in this one? Not sure, but I feel real good about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow in this one. Real good.
Yeah, man, like 100%. The thing with Joe, and I'm not sure people are still worried about his little injury thing with the throw. Like, he played through the injury, so he's going to play this game. He's going to be spectacular. I was trying to find lines on him. I couldn't find official lines, but Prize Picks did have a line for him at 264.5. I like that number. But the problem for me is, to your point, Joe Mixon. How much Joe Mixon do we get? Maybe we see some RGP run. They don't have to do a lot to win this game.
I don't even know if it matters. I don't even know if that matters, man. Detroit, they're dead last in adjusting completion percentage at 82.1%. And the Bengals are fifth worst in adjusting completion percentage at 79.8%. I'm taking Joe Burrow over Jared Goff. The Bengals offensive line is, they're doing a pretty good job of protecting Joe Burrow. Let's give them credit. That offensive line was viewed as a weakness coming into the season, and he's only been hurried on 10%. Of his dropbacks this season, and that's a recipe for Detroit to get abused through the air. Joe Burrow, I think he's going to have a massive week. Jamar Chase, dude, his passer rating when targeted is 148.5, number one amongst wide receivers in the NFL. That's just, they have nobody that can cover him. 68.5. I'm telling you right now, we're going to talk about our 5 locks tomorrow. That is a lock for me for Jamar Chase, over 68.5. Locking it in, and I think he's a good bet to score an anytime touchdown, and I'm pretty sure you're not even getting good odds on that right now. I think it's 100% Jamar Chase blow-up game, man.
Yeah, and last week, same idea. I was targeting Justin Jefferson, same reason. Detroit can't cover anybody. They don't have any cover corners who can hang with these guys. Justin Jefferson, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 124 yards, didn't score because Kirk Cousins sucks. But Jamar Chase has a great shot of scoring, and I think he could easily do what Justin Jefferson did last week. So you want to take the over on the receptions, take the over on the yards. His reception total will probably be at 5.5, maybe 4.5 if you're unlucky as far as juice goes. But I think it'll be 5.5. It'll probably be around 72, 73 yards when the official books come out. But I'm still taking the over. He's been over that number for the past 3 weeks. He's at 118, 84, and then 124. Jamar Chase is the number one target in that offense, and he's not really even getting a ton of volume.
He's not.
But again, efficiency. He's been over 80% catch percentage the past 3 weeks. He's balling, man. He's, like you said, number one passer rating amongst wide receivers. Honestly, could be very close to number one overall if it wasn't for a few other players who are playing extremely well. For just of note, and we'll get to this on Monday too, but the number one passer rating in the league is actually Josh Allen to Dawson Knox, which is pretty crazy. It's limited targets because he only has like 24 targets. But still,
what do you think about DeAndre Swift 44.5 rushing yards?
Hell no, man, no way. Not against Cincy defense. No way. Not rushing. They're gonna have to throw the ball. Like you look at how teams beat Cincinnati. It's through the air because their passing defense isn't very good. But their run defense has been stout and they can get home with only 4 guys. So that's the reason why I'm not gonna go that route. And they do have pretty decently fast linebackers. Their linebacking core has been all right this year. So I don't know if I want to take his receiving yards, but I would definitely stay away from the rushing yards. I think they're going to have to kind of abandon the run. Like you mentioned, one of the worst teams as far as completion percentage in the NFL. So you definitely want to attack them through the air, and that's where you're going to be successful. And I think that's where we see a lot of good things happen for the Lions, even though I don't know who's going to get the ball. I think someone's going to get it because they're
Yeah,
gonna have
what's
to throw.
up? What's up with T.J. Hawkinson, man? I mean, he's supposed to be taking this
I
step
know.
forward as the next great NFL tight end. Is it a Hawkinson thing? Is it a Jared Goff situation? Like, he hasn't been bad this year, but man, look at his last 3 games, man. 3 targets, 2 receptions, 2 yards. 8 targets, 4 receptions, 42 yards. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 10 yards. Like, those are his last 3 games. His receiving yard total right now on Prize Picks is set at 52.5. I don't think you can feel confident in him getting that. Like, he's got the talent to do it, but I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know.
I
What's
think the
up?
problem is, and I don't watch the game, so I'm not gonna give like, oh yeah, all this stuff's going on. But chances are, first 2 games, like you mentioned, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 97 yards, touchdown. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 66 yards, touchdown. Next game, what happened? Chances are he was probably the focal point of that defense. And we saw this with Mark Andrews, and this is why I want to make this comparison. You look at Baltimore, there's no one there. Hollywood's not playing well. Lamar's playing okay. He's trying to get the ball to Mark Andrews. But when Mark Andrews is the only guy who the defense focuses on, he can't get open. He can't make plays. It's very difficult for him to overcome that in his second season. I think we're seeing the same thing with Hawkinson. He's the only show in town, and he's not good enough to beat top coverage. And if there's safeties over the top on him too, like he's legitimately being double covered, he is not that talented to beat that kind of stuff.
Does Detroit have the worst group of pass catchers in the NFL? Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Cephas is hurt. So it's like Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't even know who else that is out there. Like, I truly have no clue who else is catching passes at the wide receiver position. Amendola's
Khalif
with
Raymond is out there too.
I said him.
Well, you think about Houston is close. They
I'd
just have
rather-
Brandon Cooks.
I'd rather take Brandon Cooks over what Detroit has. I thought about New England. I'll take Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry over everybody in the Jets. I still think I would take Corey Davis.
Well, you got Corey Davis,
Elijah Moore,
when healthy.
Keelan Cole. I'd rather take. I think
Crowder's
Detroit,
pretty good too when healthy.
I think Detroit has the worst group of pass catchers in the NFL.
They have one of the worst in a long time. Not
It's
just
bad.
this season. It's really bad.
It's bad, man. Since Calvin Johnson has been gone, I mean, they had a couple of seasons with Kenny Galladay.
And then Marvin Jones too.
I hear y'all. Everyone's like, Detroit's kept it close. Hunter said the Saints.
That's pretty good. When you talk about thank God Alvin Kamara can catch the ball because they don't have a whole lot.
Yeah,
they
the
have
Saints
Deontay
are
Harris,
pretty.
who's hurt.
Saints
so
is
we'll
pretty
see.
bad.
But
Elijah
at least
Moore's
they
been a
have Michael
huge.
Thomas.
Elijah Moore's been a huge disappointment. I don't listen. This is why for me. Let me tell y'all something, man. Shout out to Fusu Vu, man. Fusu Vu. Me and Fusu had a DM exchange last night, and we both. It went completely different than what y'all think it probably went. But we talked about Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith. Listen, this is why pre-draft, I know Elijah Moore was getting hyped to the moon and back during the preseason from Jets beat reporters about how good he was looking in practice. I stuck to my guns. I was like, it's Smith, it's Chase, it's Rondell. Like, those are my top 3 guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's been a disappointment for sure. Bruning said the Browns without Landry. I would still take Donovan Peoples-Jones, Odell Beckham. The Detroit and New Orleans are pretty bad. Pretty damn bad. But let's talk about the Texans and the Colts. The Colts are favored by 9.5 in this one. We saw Davis Mills, literally of all rookie quarterbacks to get the better of Bill Belichick. I probably would have put my mortgage that it would not have been Davis Mills, and he went out there and had 300, 3 touchdowns. I mean, just Davis Mills.
So do I have to go back last week when we talked about Davis Mills and clip that, and then are you going to address him and give him a public apology in this
What did I
forum?
say? What did I say?
You were like, Davis Mills this week against New England, under the passing yards, under the passing touchdowns.
I was wrong. I was wrong. Bill
I
Belichick
was with
failed
you.
me.
I'm not.
He failed me.
I was with you, but man, it was
he
shocking.
failed me. Well, his
21 for 29,
Here's the thing.
312 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I'm taking the over Davis Mills this week. Over 185.5. It's 185.5. It's lower than Justin Fields. It's the lowest over under total on the slate.
Yeah.
it's not. We just saw Indianapolis give up 440 to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens with Hollywood Brown. Like, we just saw that happen. Deep threat.
Yeah.
Just why not Davis Mills over? Why not 185?
And to your point, the books do have him at 209. So, like, there's some juice there on the prize picks. And
Let
if you
me
think
lock that in.
if you think the books are more correct in their line, then prize picks is way off as far as I'm concerned. 209 yards and 1.5 touchdowns. If you think he can throw 2 touchdowns, which would be the second time he's done that in his career after last week, you can get plus 195. This game, honestly, I don't want to go near it. Although I did take the Texans to cover. I think their defense is going to be pretty good in this game, and they've been playing a lot better than people give them credit for. Like, they gave the Patriots a run for their money, not just on offense, but on defense as well. And they played pretty well against the Bills. Like, I know they allowed 40 points, and people who didn't watch the game will be like, they allowed 40 points to the Bills. How can you say that? They stopped Josh Allen in the red zone a lot. A lot. They kicked 3 field goals under 30 yards. So think about how close you have to be to kick a field goal under 30 yards. They made Josh Allen do that 3 times. So from that standpoint, if you look at it like that, you're like, okay, well, maybe they got a shot. And that's the reason why I'm taking the Texans to cover. I think, to your point, Davis Mills plays a little bit better in this game. He's got some confidence. They must have figured something out.
They're playing with house money, man.
Plays.
Let it go. Let it go. Hey, what do you think about JT over 81.5?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Texans defense is okay, but he's playing well. He's playing really well.
Playing well.
And he's not going to have to go against the Ravens front. So I think the 81.5 is fair.
All right. Let's go. Rams, Giants. The Rams are favored by 10.5. I have no clue who's playing for the Giants. I don't know if Kadarius Toney's in the doghouse. I don't know if Sterling Shepard is back. I don't know. I'm assuming Saquon Barkley's not going to play. I saw Daniel Jones was at practice. Listen. 10.5 is that's a lot of points. I would probably, again, you know me, I'm a 7.5 point teaser. I tease it down. Rams win by a field goal. Like, that's what I would do. Where are you at with this game? Rams, Giants.
I want to smash the overs everywhere. I just want to smash the overs, man. Like,
all right, so let's talk about it. Stafford over under 285.5. Over.
Give me the over. Give me the over, man.
2.5 touchdowns, and you get plus money on that. Plus 155. So there's some nice juice on that. Plus 155. Cooper Kupp 81.5 receiving yards.
Come on, bro. Over.
Robert Woods. Are you gonna Cooper Yup? Cooper Yup. I like that.
You gotta look at my graphics, man. That was last week's graphic. Cooper Yup. I didn't make it this week. I made Stafford this week. 285.5. Matt Stafford is not playing well for people who aren't paying attention. He's playing terrible. He had a great second half last week. He had, I believe, 323 yards. He's not playing well. This game is a game where I think he could really bomb it. Like, they are not playing overly well, and Stafford needs to have a complete game. If he has a complete game, he's going to throw for like 350, 4 touchdowns, a couple deep shots. The Giants are allowing a 121 passer rating on deep targets. There is going to be shots down the field, and Stafford is going to take advantage of this Giants defense. To your point, the offense in shambles. We don't know who's playing. Kadarius Toney did apologize for his little antics on the field.
Oh, he did? He did?
Yeah, he did. He apologized,
Okay.
but he also did say that he has a bit of an ankle sprain. So I don't know whether he's going to be in the doghouse or not. I think that's still, we're going to find that out. But Sterling Shepard and, Darius Slayton still maybe back. And I don't know, because didn't Galladay also leave that game with like a hip injury or a hamstring?
I think it's a knee. He's out. Galladay had a knee injury.
with him out too, it's like, how do they not cover? 10.5 is a ton, but that's honestly, the Rams should win by 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game. I like all the overs. Robert Woods, how are you with Robert Woods now? We saw it this week. Sean McVay didn't lead us astray. He told us Robert Woods is going to be involved. He was heavily involved. He had 150 receiving yards. But this week, even at 61, I'm kind of like, man.
I think we see a little bit of. I think it's not as much as he had last week, but not nearly as few opportunities as he had been getting. I think it'll be a happy medium in between. I think you're looking at 8 targets, 9 targets for Robert Woods, 9 or 10 targets for Cooper Kupp. I think that's how. I mean, he said he was going to get him involved last week, and I don't think that's going to change, because they looked really well in that game. So I'm with you on Matt Stafford over 2. I tried to find that on the PP, the prize picks, but I couldn't find that. There's no line for Woods yet, and they have Cooper Kupp at 81.5. Are you interested in anything from the Giants, man? Kadarius Toney. I like Kadarius Toney reception. I like the receptions, man. If once they come out, I don't see anything for Toney right now. I see nothing for Toney, but I'd be interested to see what his reception total is because they're going to be behind. And you saw even versus Dallas, they were like throwing until the very end. So if Toney's reception total is set at like 4.5, I'd be inclined to take the over on that one.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's finish up with Kansas City versus the football team. Kansas City -7.
You want to rush this one? Okay.
Oh, no. Okay. You know what? Oh, I didn't realize the time. It's 7:59. We don't have to rush this one because we got some.
No, this one, I want to talk about this game a lot because this game has like 80-point explosion potential. And so people need to know. And there's no line for Tyreek Hill right now. So that's one of the reasons why I don't want to talk about it because I was going to give you a line at 99.5, and I wanted to see your thoughts on it because this game could be the best game of the weekend, not because of defense. They are two of the worst defenses in all of the NFL.
Oh, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a shootout. I like it. And Antonio Gibson is at 60.5, right? Man, matter of fact.
That's on Prize Picks. So go hit that on Prize Picks because the Chiefs are one of the worst defenses in the NFL against the run. We've been talking about them, and I told you about them for weeks on end. This game is going to be crazy. So I do want to kick off tomorrow with previewing this game. So we will get into that. But Thursday Night Football, look. If you don't think Devonta Smith is good, just wait until you see what he does tonight because there is no way Richard Sherman is going to be able to cover. I don't care who they throw at him. Devonta Smith is going off for probably 120 to 150. He's probably going to score. I see double-digit receptions in his realm of possibilities. Jalen Hurts, we'll see how he does. He's gonna have to pass the ball a lot. He's going to be under a lot of pressure. He's going to, at the end of the day,
I'm excited for this one.
Where I trust Jalen, he is poised as hell. He is never scared of any moment. He's always under control. He throws the ball away a little bit more than I'd like, but he plays under control, and I do like that. He just needs to not force it and sometimes throw the ball down the field to Devonta Smith.
Sounds like you're calling the upset. Sounds like you're calling an upset tonight.
No, I still got the Bucks 5.5, but I do think we're going to see a heavy dose of Leonard Fournette. Brady is a little bit banged up. I still like Antonio Brown, like we talked about yesterday, but Devonta Smith is going to be a problem.
Well,
I believe it was 71.5 for his number.
They have his reception total. I think it's at 6 receptions. So they're banking on him getting another 7 receptions this game. It's the highest receiving total in the game, higher than Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. They're projecting him to be the man tonight. So
baby. He's gonna show out.
I'm excited for this one, man. I'm excited for this one. We will finish up Kansas City, Washington. We've got some buys this week, finally, so we don't have to go through every team. And then we'll touch on Herbert. We'll touch on Kyler Murray. We'll touch on Dallas and Pittsburgh. And we'll have a good time. And hopefully we'll have some more clarity on if Christian McCaffrey will be back or not. I know it's 50-50. But we appreciate y'all tapping in with us. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. Peace.